So I was in this class called Living Deeply where this woman, NilI Weisman, used to run it, and we would explore what it means to be connected with the Torah and the verses, and really this idea of universe. And Rabbi David Ingber, who ran Romemu, where I met NilI, actually used to talk, what is the universe? When we think of the word sin, we think of duality. End of the world is worst crimes. It's like the end of the world. Violence. And gratitude splits the sea. It converts the judgments to the master. We call Hashem Adonai, our master, my master. Kings sit in alliances of the pride. There's this lion coalition, Royal Highness on display, and this idea of getting the hands dirty. King David was said he got his hands dirty, whether it's menstruation, birth, soiled like the externality that's not esoterically or internally. So the peel is able to fall away eventually, but to begin with, there can be no inside if not an outer. So there's this like sheath of uterus protecting and surrounding the fetus. Teshuvah requires that we first face the fear of punishment, which is the external consequences, in order for that seed of desire to return to love to grow. What identifies as the innards versus the peel or the tough sharpness that can do damage, we have to remember that the vessel's walls were created by love, given freely. Strings attached inside, outside. When we break our own laws, we break our own peels. The klipa, the peel, protects unconditional love. If I don't get unconditional love somewhere, I grow a guard there. Since the original state didn't have that edge, we grow these edges to vulnerability, growing a peel to protect me. We can look at being the fruit more and growing juicier, plumper, sweeter, rather than growing more hidden, more tough. So when we go deeper, like living deeply in that way, I believed in solid motion till I saw the waving ocean. It's a song. I believed in solid motion till I saw the waving ocean. I'm just going to write it down. I believed in solid motion until I saw a waving ocean. So amazing. When we think of survivor's guilt versus compassionate encouragement, it's about following where we are enjoyed and enjoying and giving from abundance, receiving to share as the healing, with new beginnings that requires that muck to be upheavaled. Showing ourselves to the community that God gives us, feeling grateful for the joy and healing we brought rather than focusing on the damages we believe we've done or might or will do with our mistakes. You know, I saw how I grieved things before they were gone, not all, that like pretty traumatized, like, you know, it's not all that Buddhist. Like Buddhism, it's like practicing mindfulness of death. This was because of secure attachment. You allow yourself to be securely attached to that which is the ever-present presence rather than constantly changing everything. But in this case, I was doing more like everything goes, that's the nature of all things. This too shall pass. And yet deeper, I was saying I was identifying as a vulnerable and childlike, which gets me closer to the source of myself, the seed versus that peel, which is the exterior. So it was like a fear of death. Being as present as possible to enjoy all things instead of being like, I thought I was being maybe a little too much of a sport, caring too much about being small to even the playing field, to even play, and make others bigger to protect their feelings. And this is when I recognized I had this like authoritarian is using power to force instead of preventively. So it's unquestionable and preferable. And I realized I'd been raised with that. So versus this fawning to the kids and being a victim, martyr, showing the child the parent isn't the more powerful one. I recognize this played out in my romantic relationships. So I want to share it like from David Ghiyam and then talk about myself. So for myself, I realized I judged my father. This is the key. Romantic relationships will play out with our parent, right? If you're a woman with men with women, we come from this root, the same root of the soul, really, in the end of the day, right? So looking at it, I judged my father for not giving me attention, affection, passion. It seemed like he was unmerciful, withholding, stingy and cold, and he didn't show me in a way I could see that my joy brought him joy, or that watching me grow brought him pride. He never felt certain for me that he believed in me enough to trust the process and love me through the parts that were unfamiliar for him, or made him face the discomfort of not being able to, one, help himself there either, two, help me where I had to help myself. And I judged this man, his name was Makov, it doesn't matter even, for not being available in the way I want when I want. It seemed like he didn't know how he felt about me, and that and that I was supposed to prove that he didn't make a mistake investing in me, such that it never felt safe, like he can own his desires and his limits. I remember Sprouty also, doesn't matter the name, just saying, I judged him for not giving me what I wanted when I wanted it, or for not matching my enthusiasm, my sadness. At the times that I shared it, it seemed that making me as important as I wanted to be was not possible for him without him hurting himself. But then I learned from David Ghiyam about loving in a godly way, when we share without agenda, not for power, credit, or returns. Behavior modification that's not just for personal gain, but to be more of a channel of love and care and protection and generosity, examining my intentions behind my words and every word and action, starting from desire, I want, and enjoying the blessings that come, and not feeling bribed, like facing the disappointment, giving even if and when I don't receive, letting people change, be less excited about me, us, and still find them lovable as an example of what's possible if I can love and devote to God, even when life or situations are not according to my plan, or I don't get that which I believed would make me happy. So this activates care and makes pure love possible. Knowing my role and worth, that's like lovability, is independent of how another treats me or caters to me. Looking at everyone as like my children, like they may not do what I want, but I can still love them. Not taking it personally, being a builder, not a destroyer, giver consciousness. Even if and when people give, I give people back to the Creator. I'm not getting what I want, right? I'm not expecting disappointments. They're opportunities for humility, not something to chase due to addiction to lack or victimhood. Rather preparing for my own power. And finally, training myself to feel free when everything falls apart. It shows there's unlimited potential. Relating to men as a little girl, though, like loving from afar the way my father did, my daddy style, as an ashamed victim who blames and guilt and projects from the wound and fear, not owning needs and expressing them, not giving someone space to process their feelings and conflict, insecurities, triggers, because I'm so wrapped up in my own. I don't remember or know how to self-soothe. Invalidating others' experience or perspective, or doing anything and everything they need to keep them around, even thinking I know better than them what they need and want, because I don't believe I can stand on my own 2 feet or support myself in the healing process alone. Whether it's adaptive, resourceful, wisely, competently, skillfully, feeling I lacking it, and then sort of thinking I could lock it in with someone, like there's a lack, get the person, no more lack. I locked in the rushing the romance commitment, even with people I'm not truly attracted to or built trust with or even like their ways. Not valuing my time alone, feeling punished, abandoned, and forsaken instead, feeling burned out from unconsciousness, performing, hiding for love. So much grief that can become rageful anxiety from love with no place to go instead of real intimacy of flows and all. Like, it could be boring for an idealist who projects fantasy to avoid loneliness or disappointment, to see flaws. I want to share like the whole Nazi Hitler kind of mindset is roaches are like vermin needing to protect from their contamination, their ugliness, a general tendency to steal and sneak and invade and infest, and fear and loathing. I thought of this movie called Naked Lunch. This is not healthy stuff I'm recommending to watch, but this is the categories that put it in. Metamorphosis, not sharing resources. This is what happens when, like, in these movies, it was like feeling repulsed and disgusted by people or beings. So it's like this idea, not sharing resources with them, not trusting them to be unattended, chasing and squashing and gassing and killing and torturing the innocent, punishing. And how do people rationalize even these evil kind of things? Now, I took it very extreme. I went to Nazi Hitler, but even in relationships, like men hurting women or women with their own kids. So Nick Lennon says there's 7 types of rationalization: denial of the victim, social comparison, earned credit or a higher cause, legality, denial of responsibility, and denial of injury. I do only see, earned credit, higher cause. Those are 2. Okay. Viktor Frankl says, a quote, and I want to share here: between the stimulus and the response, there's a space, and that space is our power to choose our response. And our response lies our growth and freedom. And then I looked at like my possessiveness, like when I don't want to share, either because, like I said earlier, from David Ghiyam from Kabbalah Center, like because I feel there's not enough, or because, like Rabbi Ingber said, like when we're we have appeal around us, or like living deeply when overly don't want to get attached, so like pushing it away. So possessiveness is I don't know anything, not even my money, my body, my mind, or my ideas, my relationships, my stuff, my rights, techniques, space or time, resources, gifts, or creatures, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. And even if it creates or destroys, it just changes form simply. And I will stop here and wish you a good night. Happy Hanukkah. Be well.